Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. Alright, NCAA week number 4. Whew, what a week 3 we had. Straight up picks 16-5, against the spread 13-8, over under 7-14. So that gives us a year to date of 52-22 straight up picks, 37-37 against the spread, over under 36-38. So we're at a 56.3% year to date. Still improving on that. We want to get back to over 60 for sure. 65 would be great. So we're doing 21 games again this week. We are so early in the season that, you know, the rankings and stuff really don't mean a whole lot right now. I know as we get closer to the playoffs and everything, and we actually get to conference play and all that, that will make a difference when it comes to who's rated where and all that kind of good jazz. You know, right now we have multiple undefeated teams, but we also have some teams that's like they're looking good early, but they're still going to be this good late. I mean, Tulane's undefeated. They're still going to be undefeated in a few weeks, you know. Look at the ACC right now. We got 5 teams in the ACC Atlantic that are 3-0. We have in the Big Ten East, we have 6 teams that are currently 3-0. In the West, we have 1 team that's 3-0. So we're still way early in the season. A lot could still happen as we go forward. Probably in about 2 or 3 weeks. We'll get about week 5, week 6, even week 7 in that era. We'll have a better idea of where we're looking at for playoff teams, who needs to do what to kind of get to the playoffs, you know, conference finals, etc. All right, first game we have the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, 3-0, going up against the Georgia State Panthers, who are 0-3. Got a Sun Belt East matchup here. Coastal Carolina is favored by 2.5. They have scored at least 28 points in each game, but their defense have given up 28, 27, and 26 in that order. Coastal Carolina is favored by 2.5. I got them winning and covering. Whew. The over-under on this game is 63.5. I'm actually going to go ahead because of some of the points this team has put up on the year and what Georgia State has given up. I'm going over on that, 63. The 1-2 West Virginia Mountaineers versus the 2-1 Virginia Hawkeyes. Virginia has scored 27 points in each of the last 2 games. West Virginia, they have played some intriguing matchups. They lost game 1 of the season 38-31, lost game 2 55-42, and then won last week 66-7. So West Virginia is favored by 2.5. I think they're more what they were in the first 2 weeks than they were last week. So I'm giving the 2.5 to Virginia Tech. I got the Hokies winning, covering, and under on the 52. We get the Virginia Cavaliers 2-1 versus the 3-0 Syracuse Orange. Syracuse is favored by 10. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 54.5. The 2-1 Baylor Bears taking on the 3-0 Iowa State Cyclones. Iowa State's favored by 2.5. I got the Cyclones winning, covering, and over on the 45.5. Battle of the 3-0 teams in the ACC. Like I said, we have 5 teams in the ACC Atlantic that are 3-0. We have the Clemson Tigers and the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Clemson, Florida State, and Syracuse have each played 1 conference game, and they've won that. With Wake Forest, this is their first conference game. Clemson has scored at least 35 points each of the first 3 games, while Wake Forest has scored at least 37 in those same 3 games. Clemson is favored by 7. I got Clemson winning, covering. I am taking under on the 55.5 because Clemson's only given up 10, 12, and 20 points so far. Next up, we have the 1-2 Central Michigan Chippewas versus the 3-0 Penn State Nittany Lions. Penn State is favored by 26. I have Central Michigan covering, and I am taking under on the 60.5. 3-0 Duke Blue Devils take on the 3-0 Kansas Jayhawks. Jayhawks are favored by 9. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 45.5. Out of the Big Ten, again, like I said, We have 6 Big Ten East teams that are 3-0. We have the Maryland Terrapins and the Michigan Wolverines going head-to-head here. Michigan is favored by 16.5. When it all washes out, by the time we get to game 5 and 6, I wouldn't expect Maryland to be undefeated. I would expect Michigan to be undefeated, or at least one loss. This may be Maryland's one loss. They may end the rest of the regular season with one loss. But I don't, basically, though, as competitive as that Big Ten East has always been, I don't see that happening. Michigan is favored by 16.5. I got Michigan winning. I got Maryland covering and under on the 62.5. We have the 3-0 UCLA Bruins. Now, next year, they're going to be in I think it's 2024. They'll be in the Big Ten. So, yeah, I mean, they need to get, if they're going to get a chance to get to the playoffs this year, they need to be an undefeated Pac-12 conference champion. They're going against the 0-3 Colorado Buffaloes. These are the games that can be really scary for an undefeated team because you never know what could happen. One little mistake could turn this game around. UCLA is favored by 21.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 57. When you get these winless teams like this, they can be very unpredictable because they're out for one thing and one thing only. When UCLA is trying to, we need to win because we want to be undefeated, but we got to kind of not get somebody hurt. Colorado could be just seeing red and just go after them. So you got to be careful in games like this. UCLA wins, covers the 21.5, and over on the 57. 2-1 Florida Gators versus the 3-0 Tennessee Volunteers. So even if you look at the SEC right now, we got 3 undefeated teams in the East, 3 undefeated teams in the West. Arkansas, Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Again, when normal years wash out for the SEC, it'll probably be Georgia and either Kentucky or Tennessee. The way Tennessee's been playing this year, I would kind of bet on them as kind of the second team in the East. In the West, we'll have Alabama and probably LSU's got one loss right now, but I could see it kind of coming down to an Auburn, Alabama, LSU kind of head-to-head. Tennessee favored by 11 at home. I got the Volunteers winning, but I got Florida covering the 11, and I'm taking over on the 62.5. Next up, the 3-0 Indiana Hoosiers versus the 2-1 Cincinnati Bearcats. Bearcats are favored by 16.5. I got Bearcats winning, Indiana covering, and over on the 54. The 3-0 Minnesota Golden Gophers versus the 2-1 Michigan State Spartans. Now, this is a good game for Michigan State because one loss, if they win out, they only have the one loss. I think they might be all right, be in at least in the playoff talk. They get to that second loss, especially this early, they're out. Minnesota, they are the only undefeated team currently in the West. So they're favored by 2.5 on the road. I actually have them winning, covering, and over on the 51. The 1-2 Notre Dame Fighting Irish versus the 3-0 North Carolina Tar Heels. Notre Dame is actually favored by 1. I'm giving that 1 to North Carolina. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 59. Next up, the 2-1 Texas Longhorns versus the 2-1 Texas Tech Red Raiders. The Longhorns are favored by 6.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 60. Washington State Cougars, another one of those Pac-12 teams that are showing some promise here early in the season. So we go to the Pac-12. In the Pac-12 North, Oregon State, Washington, and Washington State all are undefeated. In the South, USC and UCLA are both undefeated. Washington State here against Oregon is favored by 6.5, or Oregon's favored by 6.5. I'm giving it to Washington State. I'm taking the Washington State Cougars to win, cover, and under on the 56. 3-0 Ole Miss Rebels hosting the 2-1 Tulsa Golden Hurricanes. Ole Miss is favored by 21. I got them winning, covering. I got Ole Miss winning, Tulsa Golden Hurricanes covering, over on the 62. 3-0 Arkansas Razorbacks versus the 2-1 Texas A&M Aggies. I got the Aggies winning, covering, and under on the 48.5. The 2-1 Iowa Hawkeyes versus the 3-0 Rutgers Scarlet Knights. I think Rutgers is only 3-0 because of their schedule. I think when they start facing teams like Iowa, Michigan, etc., they're not going to be undefeated long. Iowa's favored by 7.5. I got them winning, covering, and taking over the 35.5. 2-1 Wisconsin Badgers versus the 3-0 Ohio State Buckeyes. So we got another Big Ten matchup here. A lot of important games early in the season. It's really going to kind of organize who's going to be there or not. Right now, Wisconsin's 2-1. Ohio State is currently 3-0, but Ohio State's one of 6 teams that are 3-0. Ohio State's favored by 18. I got Ohio State winning, Wisconsin covering, and over on the 56. In the Big 12, Oklahoma Sooners 3-0 hosting the Kansas State Wildcats 2-1. The Sooners are favored by 13. I got K-State covering, Sooners winning, and over on the 52. And then last but not least, we have the 3-0 USC Trojans versus the 3-0 Oregon State Beavers. USC is favored by 6.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 69. So week 4 of the NCAA, there we go. 21 picks, straight up picks, over under against the spread. Make sure you check out the video that you would have seen up top about the realignment and playoff predictions. Kind of something I've done a few of those where we kind of realign everything and redo some of these, because right now only the Power 5 really have a big chance at making the playoffs. I know Cincinnati made one, Notre Dame made one. Other than that, you have to have an elite non-Power 5 team, very elite, be eligible for the playoffs. These whole rankings and committees and all this stuff, I think there's a better way to do it. More like the NFL, more like we have conferences, we have divisions. These are your playoffs, these are your bowl games. Here you go. Here's how you crown your national championship. It's all done on paper. I know there's talk of expanding to 8 and even 12 teams in 2026, I think it was, which I think you're still going to have these committees sitting there going, well, I want this team. I think this team is better. Let's just do it all on the field, brackets and nice and divisions and all that. But hey, just my opinion here, you know. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show. Hope you enjoy week 4. Check out NFL week 3 coming up soon to Robert Sports Show. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show, and just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports channel content.